It's not until you get in person and can meet with others who share the same passion as you, being photography, meet with others who share the same struggles as you, that you feel like, oh wow, okay, maybe I'm not alone. I can do this. Hey, Raymond here from the Beginner Photography Podcast, and I am currently driving on my way home from the very first Beginner Photography Podcast workshop up in Chicago. I thought that maybe I'd wait till I got home to record this episode, but I still have so many thoughts and really exciting moments that I wanted to share, and they're still fresh in my mind that I thought, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to hit record on my little DJI mic here, and we're going to make an episode. And that kind of fits in perfectly to my philosophy of photography as well, which is even if you don't have the perfect setup, if you don't have all the right gear right at that moment, who cares? Try to make something happen. And you might be delightfully surprised, but you won't know unless you try. So we hosted the first workshop up in Chicago, and I chose Chicago for a few reasons. One, because of its proximity to me. It's not too far. It's about a 3.5, 4-hour drive from Indy. Two, I've been there before, so I have some familiarity with the city. Three, being that when I look in the back end of ConvertKit, my email platform, there are more than 300 subscribers from Chicago. So I thought, if I'm going to get started, let's try to make this as easy as possible and just do it that way. So I guess let me share why I decided to host a workshop for the first time after 9 years of hosting the podcast. In all honesty, workshops are something that listeners have been requesting for years, but it seemed like such a big task. And I wasn't entirely sure what it was that I would teach, that I would educate on. And then when I was ready to pull the trigger on my first workshop, COVID happened. So that kind of, pumped the brakes, and I had to wait on the workshop. And then after COVID is when I decided I was going to get out of weddings. And if I'm being completely candid with y'all, I kind of had this slight identity crisis. Like, who am I to be hosting this podcast if I'm not currently a working professional photographer? So I kind of dug in my heels and played this what if game, who am I game, would people even show up? All of those self-doubts that you have when you go to try something new. But as I continued on with the podcast, it continued to grow. More people continued to listen, continue to show up. The community continues to grow. And I realized that even though I'm not currently a working professional shooting weddings full time, I did that for 10 years. And I still have a lot of information that I can give to you. And if I can help you on your journey in photography, why would I not do that? Like, why would I stop doing that? So at the end of last year, I put out this big survey where I want to know more about you. I want to know more about you, the listener, as far as what do you shoot? How long have you been shooting? What are the things that you struggle with? And also, what do you want more of from the podcast? And I was really shocked at how many people said they wanted an in-person workshop. They wanted to get together in person. They wanted to build these connections with the people who they've spoke with in the community for years. They wanted to advance their education, get some more hands-on help with their problems and the things that they struggle with. And they wanted to have a great experience doing so. So that got me thinking more about the workshops again. And I thought, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm really going to do this. I don't just want to dip my toes in the water and just kind of, half-ass it. I really want to make sure that I'm prepared and that what I deliver is of value, because I don't want to waste your time. And I know that because I also don't want to waste my time. So when it came to figuring out what was I going to talk about during this workshop, that was also difficult. I had people in the workshop who had been shooting for a few years. They've taken a number of paid professional gigs. And there's also some of those who have only been shooting for less than a year. So what are the things that I can teach that are applicable to every photographer, no matter where you're at in photography? So I know that camera settings are obviously something that, even if you're proficient in shooting manual, sometimes you still got some questions. So I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to make sure that we had time to answer those questions and figure those things out for you. But the two biggest things that I wanted to make sure that we talked about were light and composition. because light and composition are the two things that you have to learn how to see as a photographer, like starting from scratch. And there's a lot of ambiguity in them. So I started off by going through my entire library of photos from weddings, personal work, and I started looking for examples. Examples of moments where I took photos in good light, examples of when I took photos in bad light, so that I would have something to share and show off why you would do it one way, why you would do it another, and how you can take quote unquote bad light, being harsh light, I guess you would call it, and still create a great image. Because when you're comfortable shooting in your least desirable light to you, then you can shoot in any conditions and be able to get something that you're really proud of. And when it comes to composition, how you compose a frame is so much. You want to draw in the viewer's attention to where you want it to go. You're directing that attention through your composition. And again, composition can be kind of ambiguous, but also compositions can be stacked on top of each other to create an even more compelling image. So I knew that I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to talk about my 3 favorite compositions, but then also 2 that they're not necessarily traditional compositions, but I use them a lot in my photography, and specifically when looking for how to place my couples or my subject. So the planning for this workshop, it took a lot more work than I was anticipating, because I think because I went through a lot of my backlog of images that, I guess you'd call it a catalog, images that I've taken years ago. I think I went through over 100,000 images to find the ones that I included in the presentation in the educational part of the workshop. But I also knew that I didn't just want to sit and speak at this group of photographers, and that there had to be an interactive element to it, or a demonstration element. So I knew that I wanted to do a photo walk with a model, so that after we go through this education, we learn about these core concepts, then we can go out and actually put them to practice. But then also, even though this wasn't a workshop about Flash, I wanted to bring out the Flash within the educational part when we're talking about light, so that I could show off some core examples. And man, I was blown away. Everybody was so excited about that portion. About, when I brought out the Flash, I had my trusty assistant, Jim, who's also a moderator in the Facebook group, who, by the way, Jim, such a huge help, man. I really, truly do appreciate all of your help. Jim walked like 2 city blocks with like 2 giant cardboard bins full of Chipotle that we had catered for lunch. That's a questionable thing to do in the part of Chicago that we were at, and he did it. Huge support. So again, Jim, thank you so much, man. But I used Jim as my stand-in model while we were working with Flash, and we covered some really great core concepts of how to use and manipulate light to achieve what it is that you're looking for, specifically in dealing with the quality of light. Because with a Flash, I think most people think that you're just adding quantity of light, but they don't really think about the element of quality of light. So being able to kind of show that off, I think was a huge help to a lot of the students. So after going through the educational portion, we had our model come in. Her name was Becca. She did a phenomenal job, super easy to work with, and had a lot of great ideas too. And then we went out on our photo walk, and we just kind of shot around the streets of this Wicker Park neighborhood of Chicago. And it was really cool for me, I think, to see what the participants were able to achieve. You spend the whole morning talking about these concepts, being camera settings, light, and composition, and you ask for questions, and there are some really good questions that come up. But at least for me personally, I know that I can be taught something, right? I can go through the education, but it's not until I actually put the camera to my face and I try it that the knowledge, the educational portion, really hits. And then I understand it. So being able to go out and again, see everybody who was involved, work with this model, find some good light, and try new things was it was fulfilling, honestly. But I think probably one of the coolest moments that I had throughout the day came from an aha moment from Kim Carbon. While we were going through the educational portion, we were talking about camera settings, we were talking about light, we were talking about composition, and Kim brings up how she likes her photos a little bit darker, a little bit moodier. But every time she goes to edit them that way, sometimes they fall flat. And I had just mentioned, like, well, a lot of it is more about light. Like, you can't take a flat photo and edit it as dark and moody within Lightroom. It's really in the way that you shoot it and getting it right in camera. And I'll say, it seemed like she understood what I said. And then we moved on. Later, when we went out to the photo walk portion, there was this scene of intense shadow with this like spotlight of sunlight coming through. And I had told Kim, I said, hey, Kim, this is like a great moment to get that. This is great light to get that dark and moody look that you're talking about. So I said, try to black out the background. So she goes through her camera settings, and that's what she does. She blacks out the background. So now it's a very dark frame with this model who's being hit with this almost like a spotlight of light. And she shows me the photo, and I'm like, yeah, that's great. There you go. And she says, wait, this is getting it right in camera? And I was like, yeah, for you, for your style of editing, that's getting it right in camera. And she had this aha moment of, oh my gosh, I always thought that getting it right in camera meant getting it properly exposed. Like, get the meter at 0. So unlocking this moment of realizing that, quote unquote, getting it right in camera is subjective to each photographer and what it is that they shoot. And in her case, it's probably getting it underexposed in camera to expose and make the highlights stand out. That same photo with those same camera settings would not be getting it right in camera for a photographer who shoots more of a lighter style of images. Getting it right in camera is dependent on you, your preferences in your editing style, how you want the photo to look. And that was great to see, because you can tell that for years she's been struggling because she thinks that she's quote unquote getting it right in camera all these years. But really, she's just getting a middle of the road exposure, and then she's trying to make it work in the edit. But now that she knows what getting it right in camera looks like for her, which is probably a stop to a stop and a half under what she would normally shoot a scene, now she's going to have an easier time achieving that dark and moody look that she likes most in her images. So again, like, that for me was so cool to see. Like, these are the things that, like, I don't even think of. Like, I'm so close to the knowledge that I have that sometimes I don't understand what it is that you, as a listener, as a student, as a community member, are missing. So having this time where well, we're not one-on-one, but we're in a small group setting, and you're going through these things with the camera up to your face, and you have a question, and I can answer it for you. And you can walk away with this moment of, oh my gosh, I've been shooting against what it is that I like all of these years. I haven't been happy with my images for years, and this is the thing that is gonna kind of turn it around for me. That, again, such an amazing moment. And maybe I'm not missing something. Maybe that's just something that has to be done in person. So again, so cool to see, so incredible to be a part of that moment, honestly. To see her eyes like widen, and it's like that shot from Requiem for a Dream where the eyes go dilated and it's like the whole world changes for you in that moment, was, again, really, really amazing. So now that the workshop is over, I've had some time to reflect. I'm thinking about, what changes can I make? Where can I take this next? What are those next steps to really help you on your photo journey? Another big thing I learned was I wanted to take everybody through my editing workflow. I've shared this story on the podcast before. The first wedding that I edited took me an entire month to edit. I was so nervous, trying to make sure that every single photo was perfect, that there were no blown out highlights or shadows that were too dark. zero clipping. I wanted the colors to be perfect. I wanted them to be accurate. I wanted them to also be stylized. Stress over a tenth of a stop of exposure. Is this too bright? Is this too dark? What is perfect? I don't know how many of you go through the same thing, but editing was a real struggle for me in the beginning. And it took me a long time to find a workflow that I became comfortable with, I became quick with, and was proficient in being able to edit a wedding relatively quick. I got to the point to where I would guarantee a couple their wedding images within 30 days of their wedding. And that was a huge draw. Honestly, like I saw the amount of bookings that I got once I implemented that guarantee really take off. Because that's something that a lot of clients, a lot of families, brides, what have you, that's something that they're nervous about. Oftentimes working with them, it's the first time that they've worked with a professional photographer. And everybody's heard stories of, it taking forever for a couple or for somebody to get their photos. And nobody wants to invest money and be excited about hiring a photographer and then feeling like the photographer forgot about them. Going 6-8 weeks just to get their photos back from like a senior session. And worse if, they're on a deadline to get those photos to the yearbook or thank you cards out, whatever it is, Christmas cards. So early on in my journey, like figuring out, I'll be honest, like it took me so long to edit that one wedding, I thought to myself, I don't know if I can do this. Because on top of it taking forever, it just wasn't fun. I got into photography because I love shooting. I love capturing moments. I love creating something that somebody is blown away by, something that they can't capture on their cell phone. That's an exciting moment for me, not the editing. So I'm constantly on this journey to figure out how can I reduce my editing time so that I can maximize my shooting time, because that's where I get the most amount of joy. Some people like the editing process. Me, not so much. And that's why I was excited to work with Imagine AI on this workshop. So Imagine AI actually sponsored a portion of the workshop. They provided lunch and they paid for our model to go out on our photo walk. And Imagine AI is an AI photo editor. So the way that it works is that when you sign up, you can upload a number of your photos from your Lightroom catalog so that it can be trained on how you edit your images. So it's not just going to apply some filter and say that it's done. It's going to look at the, your raw photo of how you took the image and then how you edited it, and then compare the difference between the two photos and figure out how you like your images edited. So next time you go out on a shoot, when you come back, you just upload the RAW or the JPEG photos to Imagine AI through Lightroom, and it will edit them in the same way that you would edit them. And the best part is that it will complete this lightning fast. Hope Taylor, who has been on the podcast before, she uses Imagine AI, and she said that she's able to get back an entire senior session edited in under an hour. Like imagine coming home from a shoot, uploading your photos, and an hour later, they're done. And what I think is really cool that I haven't heard a lot of other companies do is that when you get the photos back and then they go into your Lightroom catalog, one, it's not like you just get JPEGs back that are finished and that's it. The edits go back into Lightroom. So you still have full control of being able to edit these images if you want to make any tweaks. So if you make these tweaks, if you realize, oh, actually I like my shadows a little bit pulled down, I like my images a little bit warmer than this. Once you're done making those minor tweaks to the rest of the images, you can then re-upload that to Imagine AI as the finished photo, and it will recognize the updates that you made and then go to refine your editing profile to, again, make it closer to how you edit. So that next time you go to upload a shoot, it continues to edit just like you. So why I was excited about this is because I know a lot of listeners, a lot of you, maybe have a full-time job and you think, well, I can't leave that to be a full-time photographer. Or I have time for shoots, but it's the editing that takes so long and I don't want to give up my weekends for that. Well, Imagine AI can help you get there faster because it's taking one thing, it's taking a large portion of a photo shoot off of your plate. So if it can help you to achieve your goals faster, why not do that? Why not give it a shot? If you could go out and shoot a session on a Saturday and then have it finished by Sunday or Saturday night, why not give it a try? And if you're still relatively new to photography and editing and working with clients, and you're not 100% on what your editing style is, well, no worries. They have built-in profiles that you can use from some of the world's top photographers. And then you can make more tweaks yourself, re-upload those to Imagine, and create your own style. Imagine AI is a huge time saver and something that will help you spend more time behind the camera instead of behind the computer screen. And I am all for that. If you want to check out Imagine AI for yourself, they gave me a special link to give to you. Just head to beginnerphotopod.com/imagine. That's beginnerphotopod.com/imagine. They're going to give you a bunch of free credits and you can try it out for yourself. So now that the workshop is over, man, it's crazy because being a part of the Beginner Photography Podcast community, I knew all of the names of the people who were coming, but you don't really know who they are until you meet them face to face. You talk with them. You learn about what it is that they shoot, how they shoot, their struggles, and I'll say it builds this connection. Whenever I see Wendy's name pop up in the group, I'm going to have a deeper connection with her. Whenever I see RJ post a real estate photo in the group, I'm going to have a better understanding of how he shoots and the struggles that he faces. Whenever I see Jim post in the group, I'm probably just going to roll my eyes and say, oh, Jim. No, I'm just kidding. In fact, Jim actually took some behind the scenes photos. I'm going to post a link to those in the show notes so you can check them out for yourself. Or whenever Delaney posts in the group, I'm going to have a better understanding of where she's at in her journey so that I'm going to be able to give her better answers for her questions, for her struggles. And that, again, is just like such a hard thing to accomplish by just being online. It's not until you get in person and can meet with others who share the same passion as you, being photography. Meet with others who share the same struggles as you, that you feel like, oh, wow, okay, maybe I'm not alone. I can do this. And if I can provide that space for you to be able to connect with others in person, to be able to go out and shoot together, to be able to create new photo friends, to be able to directly help you with your struggles, I want to do that. Because sometimes just sitting behind a computer or here in my car behind a microphone, it doesn't feel like enough. But just being together in person for just this one day, it felt like I made more of an impact than I have in the past 9 years of hosting the podcast. And I heard from others who have literally listened to every episode of the podcast say that it wasn't until getting together here in person that things really started to click. So going forward, I want to provide more of those things for you. More of those opportunities, more of those spaces for you to be able to get together and connect and make progress on your photo journey. Where's the workshop coming to next? I'm not sure. But if you live in a city where the Dodgers come to play your local baseball team, there's a good chance that the workshop will be coming to you. But if you want to be updated on where workshops are happening, if you want to take part of the workshops in the future, then come join us in the Beginner Photography Podcast community, which you can join right now by heading over to beginnerphotopod.com/group. Again, beginnerphotopod.com/group. That is it for today. Until next time, remember, the more that you shoot today, the better of a photographer you will be tomorrow. Talk soon. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of the Beginner Photography Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend. Start a conversation. Grow together. That is it for this week. Remember, the more that you shoot today, the better of a photographer you will be tomorrow. Talk soon.
Thank you for listening to the Beginner Photography Podcast. Keep shooting, and we'll see you next week.